Welcome in, Hokies, to this edition of the Tech Sideline Podcast. Today we've got a special guest, the man they call J Muddy, Justyn Mutts. We'll talk with Justyn about Virginia Tech's ACC championship season, the outlook for the upcoming season, and of course we'll talk about the poster. I'm TSL founder Will Stewart, and this is the Tech Sideline Podcast. Welcome back into episode 265 of the Tech Sideline Podcast. Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company. Who you choose to bank with can make all the difference in your overall experience. First Bank and Trust Company is the bank that puts you first. Visit www.firstbank.com to learn more. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's say hello to our guest, ACC Basketball Scholar Athlete of the Year, Justyn Mutts. Welcome in, Justyn.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's really good to see you, man. So let's go over who we have on set here. To my right, we've got our lead analyst, Chris Coleman. And producing today, we've got Nick Brown. And David Cunningham is watching and will feed information when we need it and correct us where we're wrong. So I know you guys know each other.
Yeah.
So good to see you. You and I have not seen each other since we did the poster signing.
Yeah, it's been a few months.
Yeah, that was back in April. So that was about 6 months ago. And I wanted to start with talking about that because most of the people that follow us are on our website or on our podcast know that we did an NIL deal with you where we did a poster and sold some signed editions and unsigned editions. But how that got started was that, of course, it goes back to the ACC championship game. And for those of us watching the game, I don't know how it felt for you guys on the floor, but those of us watching the game knew it was over when you dunked on Paolo Banchero.
Yeah.
So first, let's go down that path a little bit. Was that the moment? I mean, did you know, or did you know it before then, or just kind of put us in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, at that point in time, we're just trying to, win every play. I mean, it's Duke. At the end of the day, it's Duke, and they can go on a crazy run at any point in time. I think 4 or all 5 of their players got drafted first round. So
yeah,
it's not a team that you can ever think like, yeah, this game's over. And at that time, I think it was like 2.5 minutes left. Kevin made a great play. I mean, I put the ball in the room, and then I think the play blew up a lot more than I expected it to. I'll say that. But, it's all blessings, though. I'm just grateful that things worked out the way that they did.
Yeah, I watching it, that's when we knew it was over. So it was a fun 2.5 minutes after that. So we had a photographer pretty much under the basket who got, I think, the best picture of the dunk that was out there.
For sure.
And so for the NIL deal, I think you have to thank Chris for that because I think it was his idea. We were doing the follow-up podcast. Chris is like, you're always talking about NIL. You ought to turn that thing into a poster.
Yeah, much appreciated. No problem. That was really successful. That's the way things went with that.
So we reached out, gosh, I don't know. We must have talked about it or something like that. And Alphonse Beiser, who runs Bison Printing, Al reached out to me and said, I run a printing company in Bedford. We can do it for you. So one thing led to another. And what I remember about that is, and I want to get your input on this side of it. I was really excited about it. So we got the thing set up, and I knew that we could sell a lot of them. And I knew that you could make a lot of money. So eventually I reached out to you. I think it was through Instagram, and I said, hey, we want to do a poster with you, et cetera, et cetera. I think you can make about 20 grand off of this. And you said, okay. So I think I wound up in an email conversation with your parents or something like that. And I sent the contract, and I'm super jacked to get this thing done. And the answer came back like, okay, we'll look at it. So what do you remember from your end of that story?
Yeah, my family is very supportive. I got the best, support crew around me. I couldn't ask for a better crew. So anytime that I'm dealing with any contracts or any type of negotiation, they're always they're at the forefront. They're right there with me. And even if I know you guys' intent with me at that time was 100% pure, well, they are always gonna, they have the most pure intent for me. So they're always gonna try to analyze any contract or anything that I have going on. But I was really grateful for the opportunity at the time for you to contact me with that. I really didn't have too many other NIL opportunities going on at that point in time. So that was probably the first thing that really, went great, that popped off and really was successful for me. That, as well as the T-shirts of the same.
Yeah, the T-shirts were going on at the same time.
Yeah, probably like 2 or 3 weeks before that. That's when I launched those. So it was the same picture. So there was some issues with that.
So I don't know much about your parents. What are your mom and dad's backgrounds?
Yeah.
I think your mom was the one who was really involved. What does she do for a living?
Well, that's my stepmom. She works for the government. I'm not sure of her exact title, but she does work for the government. She handles a lot of contracts and negotiations with them as well. So just to have her background with that, and then her love for me, I couldn't ask for a better person in that position. My father's actually a photographer, so he's been really big into human connection and just making those relationships with other people. My mother's actually a teacher. She teaches, I think, the 7th grade this year, but she switched around grades over the past few years. So.
Well, tell her she disrupted my sleep for a couple of minutes.
I'll let her know.
But they did the right thing. They slowed it.
Sure.
So we got the paperwork taken care of, and you and I went and visited the printer. I think it was April 6th that we went and did it. And by that time we'd done a pre-sale. So for those of you that don't know, and we'll put the link to, you can still purchase the poster. It's still available. And we'll put the link to it in the YouTube description of this video. But for those who are not familiar with it, and I'm sure there's some people out there, we sold 2 versions. We had the signed version, which went for $100, and then the unsigned version, which went for $25. And out of the signed version, we allocated $70 of each $100 sale to you, and the unsigned version was $15 of each $25 sale. And for the record, I didn't have sleepless nights because we were going to get rich off of it. We made like 2 or 3% or something like that. The rest went to you and the printer and all that. So by the time you and I went to sign this thing, we had pre-sold like 300 of them or something like that. Yeah. And I remember you saying that day, you remember saying, when you said I can make $20,000 off of it, I didn't really believe you.
Yeah, I really didn't. I didn't think they were going to sell as much as they did. I didn't think I had as big of a following as I did at that time. So for everybody, and in Blacksburg, a lot of Virginia Tech supporters to come and support me as well, I was just so grateful. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I decided to come back, not for the NIL stuff, but more so just for the love that they had for me here and the support that's here for me right now. It's not going to be like that my whole life, So for me to make the most out of it, I feel like quality of life was really important in making that decision.
So I do want to get into that in more detail a little bit later, because that's a big decision,
For sure.
And so you and I were there that day, and we pre-sold like 300, and we were trying to figure out how many to sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe 350, and the printer's like, well, maybe 500. And I was like, heck, let's just do 750.
Right. Yeah.
So that took a while. You remember how long that took?
It did take a while. What was maybe hour, maybe 2 hours?
It was like 2 hours. Yeah.
But we had a really good system going. Like, I thought the system that we had going on, it made it run as smoothly as possible, as smoothly as it could have ran.
Yeah. So what we did was you signed them, and then you passed them over to me, and I'm the one who numbered it.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting about it was you didn't whip that signature out. You were very careful with your signature on each one, and you put your number 25 on there.
For sure.
So we did get a pretty good rhythm going there for a while.
Yeah. I feel like it's only right to, focus on each one. I mean, the people are paying their hard-earned money for that stuff. So, man,
because you don't know who's getting, getting that at the end of the day.
For sure.
All right. So again, folks, we're gonna put that link in the YouTube description. We did 750 that day. There are still about 200 of them left.
Oh, okay.
So it's gauche to talk about money.
Yeah.
But we have sold about 550 of those, and you get $70 per. So we'll just let y'all at home take out your calculators and do the math.
It's been a nice deal.
Yeah.
It's been a very
So
nice
I remember that day talking to you about you started asking about investing the money and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what else I told you that day? That's kind of a wide open question. I told you to make sure you bought something nice for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Did you do that?
I got this sweater. No, I think I've been saving the majority of everything that's been coming in for me up to this point. I'm scared of taxes, My stepmom, she definitely made me aware of the fact that a portion of like what I've made this year, I'm gonna have to pay it back. So I don't know how much that's going to be, because it's my first time having to go through this experience. So I just want to be as prepared as possible for that. And then also just like for life, most of my expenses are taken care of here at Virginia Tech. As a student athlete, and that's really a blessing in and of itself. So to not have to pay those bills, not have to focus on, paying off student loans or college debt and stuff like that, I can really just focus on, building my future and just trying to put myself in the best position for the real world, People don't realize, but as student athletes, I feel like we're kind of in a bubble right now, really protected by a lot of the things that are around us. But, when I leave here, it's not going to be like that anymore. And people are going to expect me to be able to take care of myself and hold my own. And I need to prepare myself right now for that,
Yeah. So you had sort of mentioned it earlier. Let's get into that. people asked us at the time, are you doing that deal to try to get him to stay another year? And I said, listen, he's getting paid whether he stays another year. And it's April, you know, and you hadn't made your decision yet. So I don't remember the timing on your decision to come back, but can you tell us like everything that went into that? Because there's more to it than money. And
Absolutely.
you've alluded to some of that.
For sure.
But that said, you had a possibility to play probably overseas, and some of those positions pay pretty well, or stay here, and NIL for the first time in a collegiate athlete's career was a factor.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that whole process of deciding to come back, and how long it took for you and what mattered to you the most.
It was a really difficult process. It was a long process. Mentioned April. April was probably the time that I left Blacksburg. I was still finishing on my degree, everybody. That was probably my main focus too, as well. Like in leaving, I had to make sure that I still got that degree under my belt, because why wouldn't I? But yeah, I left in April. I went to Las Vegas to start training at the Impact facility. Was training over there next to a lot of really good players who wound up getting drafted. Marjon Bucamp, Blake Wesley, also from Notre Dame. And they had a couple other guys. Names just slipping from my mind right now. But that was an amazing experience. I had the opportunity to work out with a couple different NBA teams. I went to one combine, and I had the opportunity to just perform in front of. There were about 20 teams there, and the feedback and the conversations I was having with these teams in the front offices was excellent. It was amazing, and that's, I think, what was making it so difficult for me to come back. If the decision simply was overseas or Virginia Tech, there would have been no complication. I would have easily decided to come back here without wasting anybody's time, you know what I mean? So the decision was really, I feel as though I have a real opportunity right now to make something happen for myself and for my future. So should I take that now, or should I go back and see what I can do next year? So that's the position that I'm in right now. I actually made my final decision on July 1st. I had a workout with the Nuggets on, I think it was on the 1st, or it was on the 31st, like the end of the month. So just to be able to go through that experience at the end and have, you know, all those conversations, get all that feedback back, receive all that feedback. Yeah, I don't know. That's something that really helped me become a better basketball player, and more importantly, just a better person, just through those life experiences.
So was there if you were talking to NBA teams, were there some common things that they were telling you?
Yeah, absolutely. Every team loved my versatility and my ability just to, you know, make plays on the floor. But the big knock on me was my lack of shooting, the fact that I didn't shoot that many three-point shots last year. My percentage wasn't alarming. I shot 33% last year from three, but it's the fact that I wasn't taking those shots as much. And they just want me to be able to show more of my versatility on defense. So just being willing and ready to guard bigs, guard anybody. And what people don't realize is that the NBA is 85% role players, you know, and for players who want to go in there and be the star player, those are the ones that are dropped immediately. Those are the ones who got the league before you even know it. You know, you blink an eye and they're gone. But I feel as though I have an outstanding opportunity to make something happen for myself by being the best role player I could possibly be. You know what I mean? But people take the term role player in an offensive light. There's role players win games. So.
Have you ever met Bimbo Coles, who used to play for Virginia Tech?
I have not met him in person.
I did a really long interview with Bimbo about 10 years ago, and he was a good athlete. But he spent something like 12 to 14 years in the NBA and was rarely a starter, rarely a frontline guy, but his thing was he was competitive.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a millionaire too.
I don't know.
For that long, yeah, you would be.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So basically what I'm hearing through that is that you felt like if you came back another year, and you love Virginia Tech. I know you love playing at Virginia Tech, so that's kind of a no-brainer. But you could also work on certain skills that I think, and maybe Chris would agree, I think most Hokie fans are guilty of thinking you're either here or you're international.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about, you know, doing what you can to make the NBA.
Absolutely. I feel as though I have a great opportunity to do that. And teams already are looking at me in that light. The teams that do like me, the teams that like me, and the teams that don't. You only need one team to take you, truly, to give you an opportunity, to give you one chance. And I've never really been one to, you know, fumble the chances. If I get a chance, I'm gonna make the most out of it, you know. That doesn't mean making every single shot. That doesn't mean being perfect. It just means giving effort and just being who I am, you know, being myself at the end of the day. I trust me, you know, I know who I am, and I'm never gonna try to change that for anybody or anything. you know.
Well, 10 to 15 years ago, when like all power forwards in the NBA were probably 6'10", 240 pounds, it's a lot different these days because you're coming off switches and you're gonna have to guard a 2-guard who's probably gonna be about the same size as you.
For sure. I think the beauty of the versatility of basketball at this point is just how much it's becoming so positionless. It's just you put your 5 best players on the floor at any point in time, and those 5 players go make plays. You know, you mentioned the typical forward being a 6'10" brute. 10, 15 years ago, he's just a brute. All he wants to do is go out there and hurt everybody else. That couldn't be further from my game, you know. And I feel as though just by taking these steps over the summer and just getting back here and continuing to work on my skill, it's such a positionless game. We got such a positionless team. You just put guys on the floor that know how to play the game, that know how to play with each other, and you know, who knows what's gonna happen. Look at us last year. You know, we had Keve, who honestly, Keve's not a center. You know, Keve's not a back to the basket traditional 5-man. But for him to be able to thrive at that position, I think just shows like the way the basketball is heading right now. I think it's so beautiful.
All right, so let's see. So we appreciate all that because I definitely wanted to talk about the poster and wanted to know what went into your decision to come back. So at this point, we're just going to, Chris, like I said, Chris has got questions, I got questions. We're just going to go back and forth. I bet they're not even in chronological order. I bet they're random.
That's fine.
So I've been babbling on enough. We'll let Chris ask you something.
So there's another famous athlete from Millville, New Jersey.
Oh, Mike Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout. Is he still a big deal there? Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
In Millville, I think in Millville, a lot of people are still fans of him. Yeah, he definitely has a big name and a big time supporter in that area. The Angels, probably the most. You'll see a lot of baseball hats in Millville.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I figured it'd be the Phillies, but since
you got the Phillies too, but I think the Angels are really close.
Because of Mike Trout.
Yeah, definitely because of Mike Trout. He was actually really good at basketball too. A lot of people don't know, but he scored like 999 points in high school.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's kind of awkward. But
so he missed a free throw somewhere.
somewhere. Yeah.
And his dad's like, "See, I told you so."
Right. No, that's crazy though. He was an all-around athlete.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
So let's see. Back to part of your affinity for Virginia Tech. So you started to get Hokie fans' attention by yelling "Let's go Hokies" while you were waiting on the free throw rebounding line.
Yeah.
What got that? You did what's called breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not common. Do you remember the first time you did that? I mean, the real question is, what got into you?
When I'm playing, when I'm on the court, like I really feel as though I turn into a different person. My passion, like my love for what I'm doing, it just kind of takes over sometimes, especially in that kind of atmosphere. I can't control that. Yeah, it might seem like I don't know, but I really can't control that. Sometimes it's just a natural instinct to do. I'm out here having fun, and I want y'all to have fun with me right now, you know? And the people really gravitated towards it, especially the first time I did it. When I heard them respond, it was over at that
You're like, oh, it's on.
Yeah, it's on. It's definitely, this is my thing now, so I have to keep doing it.
I was going to say, do you feel a responsibility now to
almost, but I also know I have to pick my spots because I can't just be yelling at them. We're down 20. No, so I definitely just pick my spots, and I mean it's really just about the energy generated. Like even if we're up 20 or 30, like the energy is not the same as if it's a close game. You know what I mean? And I'm just waiting for the right time for the crowd to die down and get a little bit quiet. Because, I mean, I can get loud, but I can't get louder than 18,000 people. I don't know how many people are gym sits.
Well, about Castle hold about 9. Yeah.
Not 18.
Not quite 18.
Sounds like 18.
Yeah,
right. And when you're in the dome, the sound's not leaving. So, yeah, but then just pick my spot, wait for it to get quiet, and then yell. And then I can't wait. Yeah.
So how does Coach feel about that? Does he ever say anything to you about?
No, he's never said anything. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. And I feel like I feel as though it doesn't take away from my end game. You know, right. I'm not getting distracted. It's just a 2-second thing I just did, and now I'm right back in the game. You know, so sometimes I think they understand that it gets me more energized. So the more energized I am, I feel like the more hustle plays I'm ready to make. You know, that's my game though.
So did that have anything to do with you getting selected to do it for the football game recently, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I really feel as though just Virginia Tech, just Hokie Nation has like really come to accept me a lot. You know, they embrace me. They support me in a lot of different ways. And I feel as though they reciprocate my energy too. So I think that's why I was brought out there, just because of the energy that was going to be generated.
So what in the world led to the, if I get 2,000 likes or whatever it is, I'll wear overalls?
Yeah.
So to fill that in a little bit, so for fans, there are a number of people that aren't on Twitter. If I remember the story correctly, you said, I'm going to do Go Hokies at the football game.
Yeah.
How many was it, likes or retweets?
I said 1,000 likes.
If I get 1,000 likes on this tweet, I'll wear overalls.
Yeah, you knew you were going to get 1,000 likes.
The thing about it, 30 minutes in, I got 1,000 likes. I did not expect for it to be that fast. Right. I expected to get the 1,000 likes because I wanted to wear the overalls. I'm not gonna lie, I did want to wear them, but I did not expect for it to happen like that. We were trying to raise it so it'd be like 5,000 or 10,000 likes, and we'll get Coach Young to come wear it too. But he wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of Coach Young, describe your relationship with Coach Young.
I love Coach Young. I didn't mention it. We were talking about it earlier, but when I was out in, can you hear me?
No, I was just saying I meant to ask you what his input was on the decision to stay.
Yeah. Well, over the summer when I was out in Vegas, he actually came to see me out there just to spend time, and he wasn't trying to recruit me to stay or trying to get a feel for where I'm at in this process. It was just, we have a good relationship. It's like family, literally like family. So that was awesome. I'm just so grateful to have somebody like Coach Young in my life. You know, he's just an amazing person away from the game of basketball. You know, you can learn so much from him. Just good people just have a way of rubbing that generosity. Is that a word? That's a word.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But their generosity and like their just caring nature is gonna rub off on everybody around them. So that's why I feel as though our culture and like our environment just has such a good, you know, atmosphere to it, because the guy at the top is, you know, such a good person.
Yeah, you know, I see him like around town, like in Kroger or something like that sometimes. He always asks me how I'm doing, which is what everybody does when they see somebody. But when he says it to you, you kind of feel like he actually means it. Yeah. He definitely means it.
Coach Young, he'll take the time. He'll sit there and talk to anyone, you know, like his ego never got ahead of him, never got too big. And I feel as though a lot of people did let that happen to them, and that's why they changed as people. But for somebody who remembers where they're from, they know who they are, there's nothing you can do with them. And they're the type of people that are just, you know, the God sends, you know.
So kind of related to that, I wanted to ask you a question about his coaching style. You know, we were there at practice for about half an hour to 45 minutes the other day, and we've never been allowed to do that, right?
If we have, it's been a while.
Yeah.
His first year.
Okay, so David says his first year. That's the first time that's the first time I've ever been to a college basketball practice. And one of the things that struck me was the energy and the noise during practice. For those of us who are kind of old school, we remember the layup drills from basketball practice where the two lines form way back there and you go one at a time, and you guys all packed inside the lane, and it looked like a layup drill, but it was boom, 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 really loud, a lot of yelling. This is your third place playing college ball, right? Do they do it that way at other schools? Is that common?
Well, every school has its own approach to practice. They have their own little drills that they do. Coach Young has very like small little drills that will work on this specific thing, or let's do this drill for 2 minutes and just focus on it. For example, you got to pass with your left hand to your teammate, and they're passing it back to you. Just those little 2 minutes right there could be the difference between a game-winning bucket or a turnover, you know, just because we spend a little bit of time every day working on those little things. I think he said this the other day, well, he didn't say it, but somebody said it, the great coaches, they'll coach you on the smallest things just so that if there's a mistake, it's not because of the lack of coaching, it's because that was a mental error that person made, you know. Yeah. So
the one that stood out to me was the loose ball drill, and you were the one he was using as an example, chasing down the loose ball instead of dribbling it. You got to immediately bring it inside. Yeah,
and that's a difference between that's a 50-50 ball right there, and that's the difference between getting it and not. If I try to dribble this ball, the person right here is gonna grab it. It's just the smallest thing that you wouldn't think about in the scheme of playing basketball. But he's been coaching for 30 years, over 30 years, so he's had a chance to see a lot of different things play out in a lot of different ways. So even just something small as like you don't bounce past inbound. If I'm taking a ball out of bounds, I don't want to bounce past this because it's a slow ball.
I remember saying that too.
Yeah. So just things like that I never would have thought about before, but now my basketball IQ has been able to raise so much just through being around good people that know the game.
Now, in the heat of battle, do those things actually come back to you, or is it reps?
Absolutely. Do I remember them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. At that point, it becomes muscle memory. Like I would never think to even do that anymore because I know it's not the good thing to do, and I know why it's not the good thing to do. And then also, if it does happen, or say somebody does bounce a loose ball, or I do bounce past an inbound, you know, but last year this happened a couple times with like he's gonna show those clips, and this is why we don't do it this way. It's embarrassing, yes, but it's just our team. It's everybody on the team, so we're all just trying to get better and be a better big player. So nobody minds seeing their mess ups on the big screen. You don't want to mess up because it is on the big screen. No doubt. But yeah, it's all for the best, though. I feel like you learn so much more from your mistakes than anything else.
So I imagine you've had conversations with him about what the NBA feedback was specifically about.
Yeah.
If I understood you correctly, shooting more 3-pointers.
I'm not saying I'm gonna go out there and launch
start
8 threes a
jacking them
game.
up.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Just on everything that I'm evolving towards is still within me. It's still within my game. I'm not trying to reinvent myself as a basketball player because the things that I've been doing have been working really well. It's just about taking that next step and just being, elite at the things that I was just good at before. You know what I mean? So, and then also just hearing out that feedback and utilizing it. Not just letting it go in one ear out the other. There's a lot of really good things that I can, implement into my game this year that I just didn't last year, and I'm excited for that too.
Well, I know Virginia Tech fans are excited because any improvement is awesome. Chris?
Yeah. It's a lot of new faces on this year's team. Brought back some good players, but a lot of new faces, freshmen and transfers.
Yeah.
How long does it take a group to gel? I know Mike Young's system is a little bit different. It might take some guys a little while to adjust, and probably took last year's team a little longer to gel than most people thought it would. What's it like with this group? And when you do gel, how good can you be?
Yeah, I think the most important part about the gelling process is the personalities of the guys that are on your team. We got 15 players on our team, which is a lot. To me, that's a lot. That's a lot of players on one team, a lot of players in the locker room. But the thing about it is all of our guys are such good people. They're all like cool people that you can just sit down and talk to. You know what I mean? So I think they do a great job of recruiting the right kinds of kids. Otherwise, you have to worry about your players off the floor so much, what they're doing, if they're getting into trouble. Or there's so many factors that could come into a player that is a loose screw. So I think Coach Young and the whole staff does a great job of just bringing in the right kind of kids, recruiting the right families and stuff like that. So without that, we wouldn't be able to gel on the court. Without us having like a good relationship, it'd be tough for us to play together. If I'm not excited to see him succeed, I'm not going to be as, my positive talk isn't going to be the same. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing. You mentioned that earlier, like the chatter, the energy in the gym. A lot of that just comes from just an excitement and everybody just being there to work hard and get better. And just, you put energy out, you get it back in karma.
So unless you have, say Duke, like a bunch of first-round picks, like if you have a team that's mostly going to be filled with players who aren't going to the NBA, they need to all like each other to have the best chemistry out there.
For sure. And even for those teams that are, 4 or 5-star recruits, those teams fall apart. I don't want to name any names. I feel like I can't do that. they said it's uncensored, so I almost went crazy. But though there are certain teams out there right now and last year who they had the 4 or the 5-star recruits, but they could never figure it out because of the egos of these guys. Their ego is too big for your ego is too big for there to be 2 or 3 players on the court, let alone 5. So when that happens, there's nothing good that can come from that team. You're already lost before the season even started.
So I'm kind of stealing a question from Chris, but it kind of fits into this discussion. There's more bigger guys on the team this year. David had an interesting chart the other day about he's got a history and a spreadsheet of the number of players that Virginia Tech has had in any given year, 6'7" or taller.
Yeah,
and it's like in Buzz's last year, it was like 2 guys or something like that. How many?
7.
There's 7 guys this year, 6'7" or taller.
Yeah.
And again, this is stealing one from Chris. How does that help you in practice? What's that like? All that kind of stuff.
I think that gives us a great feel for real action. Last year, that was one thing that we never got to simulate in practice, going against a bigger opponent, going against a 7-footer in practice, or going against a true athletic shot blocker. Things like that we could never simulate in practice. So now actually having those guys around is benefiting like the rest of the players so much, but then also like the battles that those guys are able to have. When I say those guys, like, look, y'all got it. No, like I said, I'm not a brute. I can hold my own in any situation, but I feel as though the size that we have this year is much different and much more physical than the size that we had before. So those battles, I feel as though I can't wait now for guys like Baycott, guys like Hughley from Pitt. You go to Pitt. Mm-hmm. So just players like that, I feel as though, not that we didn't have that physicality before, but now the physicality that we have is so much more advanced than what we had before. Teams might not be ready for it.
Well, Poteet in particular is a huge dude.
Yeah.
How's his first name pronounced? Malajal?
Malajal, yeah.
Nice, I nailed it.
You nailed it.
Oh my God.
It always giving me trouble.
Yeah.
You guys seem like you have more versatility this year too. More guys who can play multiple positions.
That, along with, I think, our player development, Kevin Giltner, Ryan, they do, Christian Webster, like those guys are so good at helping us to continue to hone in on what we're good at already. Hunter Couture, sniper, amazing shooter, but just through his summer workouts and his work ethic, every other part of his game is catching up to the fact that he's a sniper. And when you got a guy that can do everything at a 5-star level, I don't know. That's scary. That's scary to me. And I think it's not even just him. You got Sean Padula, and he's been able to work on so many other parts of his game as well as in the weight room with David Jackson. But Sean's probably the strongest guy on our team pound for pound. A lot of people wouldn't expect that, but Sean's a horse. So
I saw him throw down a one-handed dunk the other day, but he hasn't broken that out in a game yet.
Yeah, Sean can jump. Sean can jump.
People underestimate him, don't they? It's that choir boy look he's got about him.
I think he doesn't pass the eye test, so a lot of people don't want to give it to him. You know who else might not pass the eye test, but it's going to surprise a lot of people? Grant Basile.
That's who I was going to ask you about next. Is what's his skill level like? I knew he could shoot it. He scored 23 against NC State last year, but how's he transitioning to the step up in competition?
Yeah. I'll say he surprised me when he got here with his versatility as well. He really can do it all. So I feel as though a lot of people, I don't want to say that, but I feel a lot of people are going to initially sleep on him due to the fact of what we had last year. And I feel as though Grant is able to step onto the court right now in the ACC and make a gigantic impact just due to his versatility, his ability to score. Like you said, his three-point. I can't speak on the scrimmage, but he really impressed me at the scrimmage. He really impressed me just with his shooting ability to play inside out, and then his unselfishness. So I think our team's unselfishness as a whole is probably one of our biggest attributes. Just the fact that everybody is so good, but also so willing to share the ball. So it just makes it fun to play.
Yeah.
So one specific question I wanted to ask you about him was, the interior passing that you and Keve had going on. Of course, it led to the dunk, over Banchero. Is Grant going to be able to fill that role as well, that sort of interior passing? Because that stuff is really difficult to defend.
Yeah, Grant's a great passer, but Grant's also a great finisher. So I think everybody is just so – I'm excited. I don't know. I can't even really explain it. I think, yes, to answer your question, Grant is going to be able to, fill that interior passing role, both passing as well as receiving and finishing. So – yeah, just to answer your question.
Yeah. When you're on the court with John Camden and he's playing three, is it weird to have a small forward taller than you actually out
John's
there?
not taller than me.
Is he not taller than you? No, they list him taller than you.
Okay.
They say he is.
I'll say it's
What
close.
do they list him at?
They list him at 6'8".
Oh, and they list you at 6'7".
Respect. I'll say John's like, he's probably 6'8". I can't really look at us from the outside. Look at her.
That's true.
Yeah, I just got hurt. That's sad. No, but John's really good though, and John's also another sniper that we just got in. So just seeing him on the floor, there have been practices, there have been days where I see him make 5-6 threes. If John can see the rim, it's going in. So we got so many different lineups that we could play. We could go big, we could go small, we could go fast. I can't say we could go slow because nobody on our team is not athletic. So we can really do a lot of different things with the versatility that we have. So
one thing I have to tease you about, you had the most turnovers on the team last year by a mile.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was a lot. Wait, can I say my record, everybody? It's
sure.
eight turnovers in one game.
Is it
eight?
Elite.
No, you'll appreciate this. Tech had a player about 20 years ago now named Bryant Matthews.
Yeah.
He had a triple-double in one game. Points, rebounds, and turnovers.
Yeah.
And then the next year, he completely turned it around. And, if Okafor didn't exist, then he probably would have been Big East Player of the Year. He was a dominant. And he was like you. He was a 6'7" 4-man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
But I did call him the human turnover earlier in his career.
He had a lot of them.
Well,
so anyway,
at least I can say my assist turnover ratio was positive.
That's true.
I was positive in
That's
that
true.
sense. But
so
not that much.
Let's put some context to it. You had 97, and the next closest guy was Keve with 65, and Storm with 59.
Yeah.
So congratulations, you are the front runner for most turnovers again this year.
Everybody, thank you.
Well, think about it like this: if you have a lot of turnovers, that also means they're trying to get the ball in your hands a lot too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have. There is a question involved in me teasing you.
You should also mention that he led the team in assists.
That's a good point.
Well.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of guy am I?
And he did have the triple-double against Syracuse.
So does I think a lot of them come because you're trying to make the good pass, the difficult pass.
Yeah.
Some of them don't, but I think a lot of them do come from that. Do you and Coach Young ever discuss that? Was it ever a discussion with the NBA guys? Did they even notice that sort of thing at this point?
For sure. Well, I'll touch on that first. A lot of NBA teams mentioned they love my playmaking ability, but just being able to cut down on those turnovers would be a lot for me. I don't know. I try to play the game in an unselfish way. I don't like to be that player that's shooting 20, 30 shots a game. That's never been me. No. I can't play like that. But I think the feedback that I've been getting, not only from the summer stuff, but also from my coaches here, I need to stop passing so much. I need to be more aggressive. I need to look to score. And I feel as though that's been my issue. And just work. The amount of time I spent in the gym for me not to be aggressive on the offensive end is a discredit to my team, honestly. So that's how they approach it to me, and that's the approach I've been taking this year so far, and it's been working out great for me. So
I appreciate you being good-natured about it.
Yeah, of course.
Let's take it back to last year a little bit. When you guys turn on the team bus comes back from New York after you win the ACT. It turns on to Washington Street, and then you see that big crowd.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like on the bus when you all looked ahead and saw the crowd?
It was crazy.
Did you expect it?
I felt as though there were going to be a parade. I felt as though people were going to come support us, but I didn't think it would be anything like that. We couldn't even pull the bus into the lot. We had to just get out, and we all tried to just walk through I remember I had the ticket punched. I was holding that over my head. Everybody was loving it. At that time, everybody on the team had already signed it too. So the ticket was a big hit.
Where'd that wind up?
It's in my room right now.
Was it really?
Oh, you got it.
Nice.
Nice.
I still have it.
Now, see, the funny thing is, I was out there, and they had 3 cops there, and they had cleared out the driveway area for you guys to pull up.
Really?
And they actually had a few barriers out there too. And then as soon as the bus showed up, the cops just kind of got out of everybody's way, and So it was the idea was for it to be controlled. Yeah. It was not controlled.
It was not controlled at all. I brought some confetti back for the parade, but I threw all of my confetti when I got there, and I didn't get to keep any of it. I was really sad. But the other day at the ACC Media Day, the lady actually gave me something I was pretty happy about.
And it was actually the confetti?
It was the real confetti.
Okay.
I don't know why she
Because I was going to say,
did.
don't be eyeballing my confetti.
No, you're right. Look, that's all you.
I got extra.
He's got it.
I might have to grab a little bit.
David shoved a whole bunch in his backpack.
I'm running. We'll try to get some more for you this year.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running out of questions. I got one more, and then we'll let Chris ask you a bunch. And we also have some from the message boards that I think will be interesting. Best player you've played against, and you are not allowed to mention Obi Toppin.
I didn't play Obi.
You didn't play Obi?
He wasn't here? I looked in the... You're right. The Dayton box score I was looking at was after Toppin left.
Right.
So let's just take the question at face value.
I would say Paolo. I would definitely say Paolo. I think he deserved to be the #1 draft pick. He's a really good player. 6'10", moves like a guard, versatile, athletic. I think he has everything it takes. So I definitely would give him best player. I think with time and him just getting in the gym more with those trainers that he has with now, sky's the limit for him. Yeah, he's going to be a scary player in a couple of years.
A couple of those shots he made against y'all from the top of the key, and I thought y'all had perfect defense
I
on
was
him.
guarding him.
Yeah, exactly.
I was playing defense, and he was giving me some buckets, and I was just like, look, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I'm looking at Coach Young. But no, he's a good player. I'm excited to see what his NBA career is going to hold for him.
Yeah, I do remember in that championship game, both teams came out on fire. It was like 15-15 really quickly in the game. And I thought that was important for you guys to get off to a good start in that game.
And Coach Young told you you got to start playing some defense because you're not going to outscore them, right? Isn't that basically what he said at the first TV timeout?
Yeah, for sure. That was our issue. I think that's the reason why we were losing all those games by 4 points. Yeah. Our defense we weren't connected as we should have been. And I think once I think it started Florida State. At that point, our defense locked in, and the trust factor was through the roof. I trusted my teammates to be there for me if I made a mistake. because I knew that I would be there for them if anything were to happen. And I think that trust that everybody had each other's backs, it took us to the championship and it got us rings. Just trust and playing defense. So I think that's something we need to definitely preach for our team this year, just to adopt that trust early, to adopt that work ethic. Like, me personally, when I get on defense, I take everything personal. I'll do anything to get a stop. So the more people you have on your team, Hunter Couture has the same mindset. The more people you have on your team that are willing to put their body on the line just to get a stop, just to save 2 points, that's the difference, So I think we need that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Florida State game. I mean, you guys were 10-10 at that point, and kind of teetering on the brink from the outside looking in, record-wise. What was the mindset when you were 10-10? I mean, you obviously knew you could play better.
Yeah.
Were there any goals at that point, or was at that point you're just basically like, okay, let's take this thing one game at a time?
You have to take it one game at a time, especially taking into account a lot of people are just going to look at our record and say 10-10. We were 0-4, we were 2-7. Yeah, those are all true statistical facts. But if you're not watching the game and you're not seeing the way we're breaking down in the last 2-3 minutes of the game, the way we'll have crazy runs where we're offensively can't miss, but then we have laps. So Coach Young was always in the locker room after every single game in the film room telling us we're this close. We're literally this close to being a great team, but we just haven't clicked yet. And then once it clicked, it was beautiful. It was fun. It was sad times. It was a dark place.
I bet it was.
When you're 0-4 and you're looking at like the ACC leaderboards and you're at the bottom.
You're at the bottom.
especially when you would go into the tournament the year before and you expected to be better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of props to Coach Young. He's been here this is his 4th year now, and Virginia Tech has just continued to rise. So hopefully I can help him be a part of something really special this year too, so we can keep that going. But it's a legacy, the legend right there.
So let's see. From here we go. From VT Dante. First of all, how many degrees do you have at this point?
I have 3 right now.
You have 3
currently.
So you have your undergraduate, and what's that in?
My undergraduate degree is in psychology.
And you have 2 masters at this point? And what are they?
2 masters from here. My first one is in agriculture and life science with a concentration in education, and then my second one, which I got this past year, is educational psychology.
Okay.
I'm really interested in psych.
Clearly.
So VT Dante wants to know, when your basketball career is over, what do you plan on doing with the many degrees you have earned?
Yeah, well, at some point, I definitely want to get my PhD. I could continue that program here. I could have continued it this year. It would have just been a heavy workload for me, along with all the other stuff that I have going on. So I decided to push that on the back burner for right now. But I think after I get that PhD, I want to utilize it to, help the youth, really just to be around, like, for me, when I say youth, I'm thinking like middle school age, 6th to 8th grade. I feel as though those kids are still influenceable. You can have a positive impact on them, but at the same time, they're not too old to the point where they know too much. They think they're so smart, So I would like to be able to be a positive role model to those kids in that age group. Just because, for me, I know I had a positive role model, and it changed the trajectory of my life. If I could do that for a couple other kids or an entire school or district, my life was worth it. I don't know.
Now you do some of that now in Roanoke is what you were telling us. Tell us about
that. The West End Center, really, it's an awesome youth center up there in Roanoke. They have, on one side of the street, it's the elementary school kids, and on the other side, it's the middle school kids. But it's just so much fun just going there and hanging out with them. They're hilarious to me. So we just go there, we had a pizza party the other day. All we do is just hang out. They do some of their schoolwork and stuff like that. And we just play basketball, just have conversations. But I feel as though those small conversations, just being able to be present with them, just means way more than anything else ever could. Just like being able to have the smallest conversations with somebody. But I also recognize that in the position that I am, I feel as though they are possibly looking up to me as well. So to be able to utilize my position right now to be a benefit, a resource to other people, I feel as that's the only positive that's the most positive thing I could do with it, instead of just using it for myself and let my ego get big,
So on the whole, do they, in air quotes, know who you are? Or are you just Justyn to them, or what?
Yeah. I think a lot of the kids are aware of Virginia Tech basketball. A lot of the kids actually look up our game and stuff like that. They look me up. So I'd say they know who I am. They know about our team and stuff like that as well.
Did you take some posters to them?
I'm gonna take some posters next time. I haven't taken them up there yet. It's like 110 kids. I don't think I have 110 posters.
Okay.
You might once we because they printed a bunch of the unsigned ones.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We'll get them too.
I might. Yeah, that'd be fun though. Yeah, those kids are hilarious. I love them. Yeah. And they're always excited just for me to come back too. Like they'll send me DMs and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
So between Instagram DMs and Twitter DMs and text messages, like is your phone kind of out of control?
I started putting on Do Not Disturb. So if anybody texts me or calls me, I will not see it until nighttime, or like sometime while I'm free, or just like I said, this has been a lot going on, a lot of my mental right now. I just try to ignore everything and just let everything else go and just focus on the things that actually matter. You know, the substantial things in my life, the meaningful things to me. You know, I try to put those first, and everything else can fall on the back burner. You know.
Yeah.
So when you get to the locker room after the ACC title game, you had how many missed calls? How many missed text messages?
A lot. But you know what's crazy? The fact that after a loss, it's empty. You know, it's just so crazy. Yeah, how everybody's like, you know, so that's why you have to be so careful, because you don't want to let that build you up so much after a win. You know, Twitter going crazy, Instagram, everybody's texting you, oh, great game. I just saw it on, like, you know, Sports Center. I'm not saying that specifically, but like, I just saw you on TV. As compared to, you know, we lost. You know, I didn't play that well. I take my phone, my mom, my dad, my stepmom. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But like,
funny.
you know, it's crazy.
As a guy who covers the team for a living, it's the other way around.
Oh yeah.
When you lose, that's when my phone blows up.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quiet. You know, I'm not saying it's completely quiet, because people do like to celebrate, but message boards and text messages to me definitely get a lot busier when you lose.
I have not seen one Virginia Tech message board. I'm proud to say
look.
that.
Don't
look. And I won't ever. That's scary. Y'all are so crazy. Y'all are crazy. Imagine that. I wish I could spend like a month in our position. Step on the floor and go play a game in front of 10,000 people, or football in front of 67,000 people.
Well, I think your average person doesn't understand how jam-packed a student athlete's life is, literally from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. Mm-hmm. So kind of expand on that a little bit. Like when do you get up in the morning on
what's your average day?
Okay, I'd say today, for example. We lift at 6 a.m. So I personally wake up at 5 just to, as a person, I have to have that buffer time in the morning.
Like every day?
Life.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
every day you get up at 5 a.m.?
Just on days when I have lift. This week I have lift 3 times a week. So today, tomorrow, and probably Friday. But preseason, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't think we do anything that's like not by the book. I'm pretty sure everything we do is by the book. But preseason, when we're doing like conditioning and stuff like that, I think it's like 4 days a week that we're gone. So we have off weekends, but it's just it's a drain. I'll say today, woke up at 5, contemplated life for 20 minutes, just got dressed, went and lifted 6 to 7. Hunter Couture, he'll get on the court right after we finish lifting. So we lift 6 to 7. Hunter Couture's on the court from 7 to 8. I'll try to get on right after he's done, but that's because I don't have study hall this year. So for other student athletes, like the younger guys, like the freshmen and sophomores, they have study hall from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So their schedule is lift at 6 to 7, 7 to 8, you're just like getting yourself together. 8 to 10, you have study hall. 10:30 or 11 o'clock to 12:30, you have class. Then you have practice from about 12:45 to 3 o'clock. And then for a lot of my teammates, they had to hurry up and leave practice today just to get to their next class. So you're probably getting done everything like 5 or 6 o'clock. You've been up 12 hours straight now. Probably ate once or twice.
Yeah.
you're going through it, and now you're looking on Twitter and everybody's bashing you because you missed a free throw. Like, come on, I'm tired. I need a nap, and you're worried about my performance at. Let's also highlight the fact that sometimes games are at 9 o'clock at night.
Oh God,
no,
we hate those too, Justyn.
Look, it's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, I'm grateful. At the end of the day, it's done so much for my life, And for people who have stuff to say, I just, I'm getting old enough to this point where I can just look the other way or turn my phone off,
So I know that undergrad athletes have to take at least 12 hours. Mm-hmm. As a graduate student, how many hours of classes do you have to take per semester?
As a graduate student, you have to take 9, so it'd be 3 classes per semester.
Okay.
Right. See, I've got a buddy who played football at Tech back in the day, and he was actually not only on the football team but in the Corps Cadets also.
Oh, really?
So yeah, all his football friends would be like, "Oh man, 6:30 a.m. workouts," and he'd be like, "What are you talking about? I've been up with the core for like 2 hours already."
Yeah, every day when we have lift, I'm getting there and I see all the cadets running already. They are already doing push-ups and everything. That's a tough grind right there too. So a lot of respect to those people, a lot of respect to them. I don't know what time they get up, but it has to be like 4, 3 o'clock. I don't know. That's crazy. That's a different kind of.
That's a
different kind of grind. Different kind of grind.
Yes.
You really gotta want it, you know?
You do.
Respect.
All right, let's these are from Hokey Al. These are some quick hitters. Favorite class, he says class from all your degrees.
Actually, I'm taking a human sexuality class right now. I feel as though
they still teach that?
Yeah, but this is actually my first time taking one, so I feel as though they need to teach that to younger kids. Just the concepts are important to grasp at a younger age, especially in this day and age, you know what I mean? As things are changing so frequently and so, you know, I feel as though it's important to allow the kids to adopt a more open and understanding mindset. That's just my perception. I know a lot of people might not think the same way, but I think we should be educating these kids about this stuff, you know, a lot earlier, just so that they can go into the world more informed and learn to think for themselves, as opposed to allowing society to tell you what to think and how to be.
So, favorite food in Blacksburg?
In Blacksburg, I'm really big on lefties. Oh, this is tough.
Lefties is a good choice.
He's got because you got NIL deals, right? So you got to be careful what you say.
I don't have any NIL deals with food places though, not yet. So if anybody wants to get at me, Elrod's,
lefties,
Arroz con pollo. Love that. So I would say either lefties. They have a really good chicken club, and then their soups change every day. Yeah, their soups change every day, and their soups are always fire. And then at Elrod's, I'll get the Arroz con pollo or the what's it called? The Arroz Texado. Yeah. It's like steak. It's steak, shrimp, chicken, rice, peppers, onions, and cheese sauce. Drop the mic. What are we talking about?
What can pot? Yeah,
those are the major food groups.
I guess I know where I'm going to eat dinner tonight.
Everything. Elrod's is amazing.
They should definitely pay you after that advertisement.
Look, Elrod's call me.
Who's the toughest one-on-one matchup on our team?
On our team, Darius Maddox.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Why is it?
Darius's game.
Is it the step back or?
It's a step back. It's his catch and shoot ability. It's his handle. I'm sitting here, Darius. If you're watching this, don't clown me later. But nah, Darius is really good. He's so talented. He's such a good basketball player. Like, he's the type of player. Like, if I was just a fan, I would be a fan of him. You know, I would sit in a crowd and just watch him hoop. You know, even at the park. Hunter Couture is a close second too. Yeah.
Well, the thing about Maddox I keep going back to is that game-winning shot against Clemson when he casually dribbles behind his back while he's walking it up court.
It's the confidence. Yeah. It's the fact that for Darius, nothing matters when he's playing. He's just going to be him, and he's just going to do whatever he wants to do. And it's just like so free to watch, you know. So I'm a fan.
One last one from Hokey Al. Do you have any special pregame rituals that you stick to?
I would definitely say meditate, just to empty my mind, you know. Just think about it. There's so much going on throughout the day. You know, you're doing scout. You're trying to learn your matchup. Then I am going to look at Twitter at some point and just as a person, what am I, Gen Z? Am I Gen Z?
No, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't keep up with that anymore.
Yeah, Gen Z. Okay. So I definitely check. I saw something on Twitter that rubbed me the wrong way, so I need to let that go. KenPom rankings or ESPN stuff, like none of that is even real, but we are taking more pressure and weight on it as an individual, just because, all that stuff. Oh, Justyn Mutts getting NIL. He needs to be doing all this stuff on the court. So that stuff can weigh on somebody too. But I just try to do the work necessary to just let that stuff go and just be me and be present.
I've tried to meditate before, and I literally can't clear my mind. It just keeps going back to everything I have to worry about.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's a practice. It's
so you have to work at it.
You have to.
Can you get training from someone for something like that, I assume?
Absolutely.
Did you ever do that? Get training?
In person?
Yeah.
Not in person. I really just researched the concept of meditation. What is it for? Why am I doing this? And once I started to understand those things, I started to understand that my thoughts that are coming are really just like clouds. They're just clouds that are just coming, they're going to pass by, and then you're going to think about something else. But the clearness of your brain, of the sky, is always going to be there. But the amount of clouds is up to you, how many clouds are going to be there, at the end of the day. Nobody's trying to live in a gray, dull area because you got all these clouds, disrupting your what you got going on. The more you can, let those clouds go and not tie yourself to any of them, the more sunny things going to be,
Yep.
I'm pretty much out, man.
You've got the questions, man.
I'm going through everything, man.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I've got.
Oh man, that's a bummer. How long we been doing this, Nick?
We're about 54 minutes.
54 minutes.
So
generally takes about an hour.
That's about right timing.
I guess there's one more here. Which player on this year's team? Now remember, it has to be a surprise.
Okay.
Which player on this year's team will positively surprise everyone?
Lynn Kidd.
I figured
that was an easy answer for you.
Kidd. Lynn Kidd. Yes.
And why is that?
Lynn is,
what has he improved upon?
I don't think Lynn really got the chance to show himself last year. So I think that is going to go into a lot of why everybody's going to be so surprised that we have this guy on our team. Lynn is so good. Lynn's so talented. He's probably the most athletic guy on our team. Vertically. He's probably the most vertical athlete. Vertically. But outside of that, Lynn can shoot the ball. Lynn can score with either hand in the paint. He can guard. He's really strong. Great hedger. Lynn's really versatile too. So we're talking about versatility and guys being able to get thrown in there and do different things. Lynn's one of those guys that I think is going to have an outstanding showing this year. I can't wait.
We always heard that he was very advanced offensively, just needed to catch up in the little things, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the part. That's the learning curve. That's why I think, like, for freshmen and stuff like that, you got to go through that. Lynn, I think this is his third year now, but he didn't really get an opportunity at Clemson. Yeah. He didn't get an opportunity here last year. So for this to be his first time really stepping on the court, having the opportunity to show himself with the coach trusting him, his teammates trusting him, yeah, he's gonna help us a lot this year, truly. And like you mentioned earlier, we didn't really have any size last year.
Yeah.
So he'll help us in that sense too.
Well, you're not backing off from dialing up the hype here, Justyn.
Yeah, I'm excited myself just talking about it. You know, I know what we have. So,
you know, that actually leads to a question I thought about, but I forgot to write it down. But now it comes to mind. How do you guard against a multiple number of factors? Overconfidence, the fact that you guys achieved by winning the ACC tournament last year, the weight of expectations of the fans. Do you guys talk about this stuff? And so how do you deal with those things? You have so much confidence because, frankly, you had a lot of confidence going into last year, and it didn't start out well.
Yeah.
So how do you guys guard against that and just keep putting in the grind every day?
Yeah. I think navigating that space just goes back into understanding that this is a completely new year, that last year is really in the past and it's over now. And on top of that, half of these guys weren't even here last year, so they can't claim our success from last year, you know what I mean? So because of that, we have to go do something completely new now. With this new group of people, this new team, we have to go accomplish something special. So I think everybody has an understanding for that. And everybody knows that last year is over. So nobody is, allowing it last year to boost our head or anything. We know where we're at right now. Coach David Jackson says this all the time, but don't drink the Kool-Aid. Do not drink the Kool-Aid because it'll poison you.
I think another thing is, like, you got to remember that this year, like, opponents are going to come into Castle Coliseum, and they're not just coming here to play Virginia Tech. They're going to be coming here to beat the ACC champs, right? So you got to maintain that chip on your shoulder.
All the time, absolutely. But that just comes down to playing every single game like it's our last. Playing every single game like we got no more breath after this. So we want that target on our back. We want teams to play us. We want teams to respect us. And that was the problem before. Teams didn't respect us. Virginia Tech was not a well-respected. Maybe on the football end, I think. Virginia Tech football has always been well respected. Shout out Beamer, but
it's his birthday today.
Is it actually his birthday?
It is his birthday.
I think it is.
Huge shout out to Beamer. That's crazy. But I think just earning that respect for basketball as well. Like, we are a well-rounded school. We have really good sports teams and not just one good team.
So it looks like your first ACC game this year is hosting North Carolina
on the 7th,
on December 4th. And I'm thinking they're going to hang the ACC championship banner that night. So you are going to get, if they do that, if they wait till then, you're going to get UNC's best shot.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if they're going to wait for that game. I think they said they're going to do it like the second game of the year.
So they did say, okay.
I think.
That would be
I usually
Lehigh,
don't know
though.
anything. I just show up. I just show up and scream, "Let's go!"
You just describe me when I go home to see my wife. Just tell me what to do. I'm just here.
Look, where's the bus? Yeah. No.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. It's been good seeing you again. And again, folks, look, if you're watching this on YouTube, which I always suggest, you listen to the podcast is great, but watching them on YouTube is a lot of fun, particularly this one. We will put a link to the poster sales down in the YouTube video. So appreciate you coming in, and man, good luck this year. And, wish you guys all the best. And I know that for us, for Tech Sideline, we're counting on you to pick up the mood of the fans, because the football team's currently 2-5. So we're looking at you, man. We hope you all do well this year.
Appreciate you. It's going to be a good year. I'm really excited.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no doubt.
And folks, that has been episode 265, I believe, of the Tech Sideline podcast. Thanks a lot. And we'll see y'all next week with, I guess our next podcast will be a preview of the NC State game. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching and listening.